This kind of vegetarianism is there. Beware of vegetarians. You see, even Hitler was a vegetarian. So you can imagine what sort of a vegetarianism it is. All these fads of vegetarianism and all that are not at all required. And that's what Mahavira showed in his life, that it is not at all important to bother about food, what issue. See, the whole theory of this vegetarianism has gone to such a nonsensical limits that I have told people that we should give up vegetarianism completely. Now also see the juxtaposition of what he wanted to do. If you do not eat proteins, you cannot fight bhoots. A person who has bhoots in him must eat a lot of proteins, not carbohydrates, but proteins, so that it can fight those left-sided enemies. But here it is, they have to be vegetarians. Now imagine there are left-sided enemies within them and they want to be vegetarians. Finished. How will they fight it? So all this is all we should say is pre-planned by the person who tries to sort of we can say like this, that you see a person who tries to remove or we can say that the person who tries to make these lower animals live rather than human beings. You see, there are persons, this is the stupid thing they do. Must know that I cannot give realization to these worms and to these fishes or even to chickens. We require human beings. So all this has happened because of human beings going in juxtaposition of whatever is said. Like Christ has said, thou shalt not have adulterous eyes. And I have yet to come across a Christian who is not a Sahajogi without adulterous eyes, whether it's a woman or a man. So we go just the opposite of what we have been taught. In the case of same thing happened, that Mahavira, what he tried to do was absolutely killed by these people who are trying to make this vegetarianism as a big religion. Also another thing was that this vegetarianism came into Jainism through one fellow called Neminath, who was a Tirthankar at the time of Sri Krishna. He was to be married. In those days they were married, not only but they were eating all kinds of meats. And so many lambs and goats came for the wedding of this man. So he felt that Uparati, we call it, he didn't like, he was disgusted, he was frustrated with that. With that frustration, what did he do? He said, I will not eat meat. And that's how vegetarianism started among Jainis. And that's how it's still going on. And these Jainis, I find, are the joyless people, absolutely joyless. They are so much fond of money, they run after the money and they go on behaving in such a peculiar way that you can't understand. I mean, they are human beings, but the way they behave, you cannot understand them. They are not normal people. So we realize that despite all that Mahavira worked out, still the people are supposed to be his disciples. They are Jains, and they are like this. So what we have to do now is to understand that in Sahaja Yoga we better not do something of that kind. Whatever you are told, you have to understand why it is so. You know the modus operandi, you know each and everything about Sahaja Yoga. You know the whole subject. So it's not proper for you to, in any way, to succumb to any such arguments or any such big talks or big advertisement and take to something that is wrong. It's very important. We are Sahaja Yogis. We understand the balance. Of course, I always say that Westerners, for example, maybe Australians also, should take more to carbohydrates because they eat a lot of meat. So they can take to carbohydrates. But that doesn't mean vegetarianism by any chance. I mean to compensate. And in India I always say they must take to more meats. It's good to do them good. But by no means I say that you just eat meat and nothing else. But a balance has to be found out. And once you strike it, then you'll be surprised that you feel so relaxed, so much better, so much enlightened, and the vibrations will flow much better than normal. So for food, you have to be careful. Same about with clothes, that you shouldn't go mad after a suit all the time, whether it's hot or cold or indifferent. What you have to do is to wear something that will suit you. Now, for example, in a climate like this, you may require a suit or something to cover yourself. But supposing you are in Ganpatipure, some place like that, where it's not so cold, not so hot, maybe it's dry. So what sort of a dress you should wear which is comfortable, that should be found out. And whatever you find out, that this is such a comfortable dress for us, you better do it. Because what I have seen, many, you see, it's a thing that whenever I tell you something, don't take it to the extremes and don't take a little bit of it. But when I tell you this thing, you must understand that whatever is good for you, whatever is your temperament, whatever is aptitude, you have to take something that will nourish that, that will improve you and give you a balance. So to balance yourself, if you think of Mahavira, you must think also of Sri Hanuman. Both these things are important. It's not easy to tell all about Mahavira in this short lecture, but I think I have quite connected him now with Surge, and you must have seen to it that how important he is and what an important role he plays. So may God bless you. Just thinking about Mahavira, it's impossible to keep it to the conscious mind. It's just going into the left all the time. Because I just in the car thought I better think about Mahavira. And since then it's all going towards the left. It's so difficult. But it will work out. May God bless you. Have some water. Terrible thing, this left side. Funny. I think if you have any problems, you must ask me also. Because this is the only time when we can talk about things. If you have any problems, you can ask me about left side. How to correct it, how to work it out, anything. Please ask me. Because you always get this problem. What's it? Can't hear it. काय म्हणता?
लेफ्ट हार्ट मध्ये सुईसारखं टोचतंय मला.
हां?
लेफ्ट हार्ट मध्ये feels like the needles.
सुईसारखं?
हां.
सुईसारखं आतून बोचतं?
हां.
Now, heart, as I told you, is a reflection of God Almighty, which is the Spirit. So we have two types of heart troubles, as I told you before also. One is when you have an overactive life, right-sided, and the left-sided is the lethargic heart, where you get angina and all that. Now, in your case, in a case where you feel there's something pricking you, that means it's a possession. If the hands are sort of pins and needles, then it's kind of possession. But it can be cleared out. Any other question?
You said something about left nabi.
That's a different area though. Left nabi comes from the relationship between a wife and a husband mostly. But a wife who is a complaining type, is very sort of all the time grudging, very nervous and bothers the husband, frightened and all sorts of things that they do. See, just sometimes they do it just to trouble the husband, but sometimes basically they are very left-sided, possessed women. And these possessed women give you this left nabi. Any woman who feels the left nabi, she must immediately understand that there's some sort of a horrible thing in her being which has to go out. So for left nabi, you must take to 3 candle treatment and try to respect your husband. Try to be kind to him. Because these spirits can also dominate. Not that they can make you very sly. They can also dominate. They have a way of dominating. So in any case, it looks as if a woman might look to be right-sided, but actually she's suffering from left nabi and she's extremely dominating. In the same way, if the husband is not a good man and he tortures the wife and she feels unhappy about it and she's sorry about it, then also she catches the left nabi. So in both cases, one has to understand that you get your joy, the source of joy is yourself, your own spirit. Doesn't depend on your husband or anyone. You are single that way. So you shouldn't worry about your husband. You shouldn't think how he treats you. You shouldn't bother at all about him. What you have to think is that after all I'm his wife, I should support him, I should help him. Whatever way he is, let him be as he is. Because he won't get corrected if I tell him. So the best thing is I better not tell him anything, let him do whatever he likes. And you clear out your left nabi with candle. That's the way.